What up, y'all? Rob Moore here, aka Real Estate Rob, former indie wrestler, former police officer, and now your go to real estate advisor here in North Carolina, helping families navigate probate without letting the stress break the family apart. So, today's question is a big one. And honestly, it's one that catches a lot of families by surprise. What if there's no will? Now, most people assume that when a person passes, things just naturally go to the family. But who in the family? Which side of the family? How much does each person get? Does someone get the house? Does everything get split? Does the state take it? Let's break this down slow and plain, like we're sitting at the kitchen table here, okay? Follow me. But hold up, before you follow me, there's a few more questions we could ask, like who actually inherits when there's no will? What if there's a spouse and kids? Who gets the house? Does the partner of 20 years get anything? And what if there are no close relatives at all? Stick with me because this is where a lot of families accidentally go from calm to courtroom fisticuffs. Let's talk. All right, so the first thing to know when there is no will, the person is said to have died intestate. And that just means the state, not the family, decides what happens to the property. You don't want to be in that position. And I want to say this clearly. If there is no will, it does not matter what the person said they wanted while they were alive. The law doesn't take verbal promises as real instructions. And that's just in any case, even in law enforcement, you would see that. So let's say they said, don't worry, baby, one day all this will be yours, but didn't write it down in a will. The state does not care. North Carolina has something called intestate succession laws. It's like a built-in backup will written by the state. Let's walk through how it works. So if there is like a surviving spouse and no children, the spouse gets everything. Period. If there's a spouse and children, it gets split in half. Now, here's where people get shocked. The spouse does not automatically get the house outright. The spouse, they get a share, and the children also get a share. So if there are 3 kids, those kids legally inherit part of the home too. That means if the spouse wants to sell the house, every child has to agree and sign off on it. If one refuses, probate stalls. Now imagine one kid's easygoing, another kid lives out of state, the third is stubborn, hard-headed, and wants to hold on to the house forever. That's how 6 months turn into 3 years. If there's no spouse, but there are children, the property goes to the children equally. If there are no spouse and no children, it goes to the parents. Now, if no spouse, no kids, no parents, it goes to the siblings. If absolutely no close relatives exist, state may actually take the property themselves. This is rare, kind of, but it does happen. I can remember there was a case in Winston-Salem where a man lived with his girlfriend of 20 years. They built a life together, shared bills, shared holidays, shared everything. But he never made a will. When he passed, his girlfriend got, you guessed it, nothing. His estranged siblings, who hadn't spoke to him in years, inherited the house. So what she had to do, she had to move out of the home she lived in for 2 decades. Talk about not fair. It's not because of drama, not because anyone was cruel, but because that's what the law required. This is why I tell people all the time, a will doesn't just protect money, it protects relationships. So, adult children inherit part of the house even if a spouse is still living in it. Stepchildren do not inherit unless they are legally adopted. That's important to remember. Long-term partners do not inherit unless listed in a will. A verbal promise means nothing legally. If it's not written down, it does not count. So if you're handling an estate with no will, don't guess, don't assume, don't rush. Talk to someone who can guide you through the steps before mistakes get made and they get very expensive. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you, if you've inherited a property in North Carolina, especially a house, it's important to seek legal counsel. Or you can give me a call. I can help you start the process, and I'll walk you through what happens next, what your options are, and how to avoid unnecessary conflict. You can schedule a call in my Calendly link below, text me, or give me a call. Alright guys, thank you for joining me today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me, so I'm greatly appreciative. Now this video goes hand in hand with the last video, and where we talked about how to avoid probate. And if you haven't watched that video, you can do it now because it's coming up next.